Let's go, girls.
Crazy news has come out in Texas high school football over the past month, and unfortunately, we tried to keep him off of this program for as long as we possibly could. But this is just too big. First and foremost, before we get into the massive news, hello, Matthew Stepp, our Texas high school football insider.
Hello, Ashley and Mallory. Can I just say that this is a milestone moment in my career as a journalist, to be a guest on WTF. And I just want to start the hashtag, thank you, Carter, for being such a
Okay, cut him off.
All right.
Hang up, immediately done. I can handle this myself. No, we really can't, because we have to go to the source. So obviously, massive step bomb came out earlier this week that Gunner head coach, a 5-time state champion, the most recent three-peat from 2022 to 2024, Jake Fizzell is stepping down and resigning from Gunner due to some personal reasons. Stepp, first and foremost, when you heard this news, obviously you and some local journalists being the first people to break it here, were you equally as shocked as I think everybody across the state was?
Yeah, so this kind of went down about a week before the news broke. I got a call from another coach who kind of had mentioned some rumblings, and I didn't believe it, honestly. I was like, there's no way. This is just some bad rumor that's going around. Well, then later that afternoon, I got a call from another coach who basically said, yeah, it's accurate. And so at that point, we went into really kind of preparing mode. We kind of knew it was imminent, but we were just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, so to speak. So was definitely caught off guard by it. On a personal note, I hope Coach Fizzell, things work out for him personally. He's an unbelievable football coach, and the resume that he built up at Gunter is second to none. And so I'm confident he will be back wearing the headsets again very soon and can move on with his career, and he's an unbelievable football coach, and what he did at Gunner is unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely everything he's done on the field speaks for itself. I think all of us are under the assumption that he'll land back on his feet regardless of where he goes. I do want to talk about the Gunner program, though. Obviously an incredibly high-profile job there for any coach across the state. When you start to take a look at, okay, what's Gunner's next step? How are you feeling there?
Well, I mean, you look at Gunner and their history past, Fizzell's been there for 18 years, so they haven't had a coaching change in a long time, but generally, I think Fizzell, when he got hired, was an internal promotion. So you look at the timing of this move, we're talking late April, early May. It's going to be May before a coach is hired. The timing of it, along with the success that Gunner's had, and you've got to think an internal promotion is the way to go here. Why mess it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Gunner's football program is not broken by any means. I think they've got a couple of really qualified guys on staff. I think the key is going to be the staff needs to get behind one guy. They need to determine, hey, who's the guy that we're going to put all of our weight behind, and we're going to support this guy to be the next head coach. Because if they don't, that would open up the door for external candidates, and there's some external candidates that I think would be good fits if that happens. Some guys who coached in Gunner in the past, that kind of thing. But I can guarantee you, if the Gunner job actually does post, it is going to get interest from across the country from qualified coaches, as people know the history and the legacy that Gunner's built up, and it's a great job. So it'll be very interesting. My advice for anybody internally at Gunner would be to really throw your weight behind one guy and push for that one guy to get the job. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I bet the community would agree too. Right before we let you go, Stepp, I want to ask you for, one more just question, because I'm you know what, I'm going to call you old. You've been doing this for a while. But
I am old.
But this offseason in particular, take the Gunner thing out of it. Obviously, just an odd scenario that we weren't expecting, but there were a couple more of these for totally different reasons, I think. But you start looking at this offseason as a whole with the coaching changes that we've seen, and we're going to talk a little bit about it more, but you had programs like Mason and Brownwood who had longtime coaches that the had a lot of really, really good football that they had overseen in their time, and then all of a sudden it was like the community kind of got a little frustrated and they were out. And I think a lot of these took us by surprise. In all of your time doing this, have you seen an off season that has been this shocking with some of the massive coaching changes that we've seen thus far?
It's, from a sheer number standpoint, it's not the busiest, but especially late movement like we've had has been really surprising. It's been a little bit busier year for a non-realignment year than usual. It's definitely up there, and I think Mason and Brownwood are two cases of hometown guys who kind of got raw deals, at their alma maters. Sometimes, a lot of coaches, their dream is to go back home and coach where they're from, and that's great until it goes south. And when it goes south, it gets really ugly, and I think that's what's kind of happened in Brownwood and Mason. It's up there. I would say there's only other year that I can really think of. The year that Tom Westerberg, he left Allen after doing what he did to go to Barbers Hill, was, I think, a really shock for everybody, and that was a really, really busy off season. So there's been some other years that have been super busy, but the late movement, we haven't talked about it, but Wimberley just came open a couple of days ago, and that's a fantastic job as well. And then, you had Woodville, who played in a state championship, who played Gunter in a state championship game. That job opened up, and they just made a hire yesterday, actually, hiring Keith Clausen from Eldon. So it's been a lot of late movement this year, which is which is good for us, because it keeps, we got a lot of news going on. Sometimes things slow down around May, but it's rocking and rolling still, and it's going to keep us busy all the way into magazine publishing time.
Well, we almost made it like 3 years of this show without having to have him on, but unfortunately this one was just too big. Matthew, it pains me to say it, but we appreciate you hopping on WTF. Thank you for your insight, and keep busy there so we don't have to have you on again.
Thanks, Step.
Yay.
Thanks,
Bye,
ladies. And thank you, Carter. Thanks, Carter.
Okay, hang up on him.
Bye, Steph.
Hashtag thank you, Carter.
No, we love Step. Obviously, no one more dialed into Texas high school football than Matthew Step. And this was just one of those times that when a 5-time championship winning head coach, the most recent person to do a three-peat, which is, we've talked about it time and time again on this show, darn near impossible to do for state championships in Texas high school football. This was such a shocking one. We needed the man that broke it to go ahead and come on here.
And I liked what he said about how not only is this kind of like an in-state job, but this is probably going to get national eyes because of how high caliber Feazell was to that program, and just the pedigree that this program has statewide. I mean, that'd be kind of cool to see this job kind of get national eyes, and maybe some candidates that are from out of state.
Absolutely. And I feel like, and it's funny because you would think about it of like, oh, why would a national person care about a 3A Division II job? But that just shows you how hard it is to get into Texas high school football as a person that's not been here. I mean, because yes, it's one thing to say Allen is a national job. How often do they go and hire someone who hasn't been around Texas high school football at premier 6A and 5A? Very, very, very rarely. But 3A Division II is one of those that it's like, oh, okay, I might be able to get in there and then continue to work my way up. If it was me, I would say, no, I'm going to go live in Gunter and wreck shop for years to come and be happy that I finally made it to Texas high school football. So very, very interested. I agree with Step. I think promoting internally, they have an incredible staff, one of whom has been there. All of those assistant guys they were very loyal to Feazell, and they have been there for a long time. So they know the program left and right. That was not a high churn job, which I think is what makes it so coveted.
Right. I think so too.
All right, just a couple of more here of major coaching changes. Obviously, we hit on a couple of those with Step, but we talked a lot about Mason with Michael McLeod coming open, and then a lot about Sammy Burnett leaving Brownwood. Both of those were made by Board of Trustees and school board decisions to go ahead and part way with ones that I don't know if we necessarily agreed with, but it was the community decision, and alas, that's where we ended up. Mason is still currently open. Brownwood has hired Coach Brixley, so he was the offensive coordinator at Katy High School. Obviously very well known for winning. He has been on the staff at Katy from 2012 as the OC, was a part of those state titles for Katy in 12, 15, and 20. He does have some head coaching experience from 2007 to 2011 at Comanche, also spent some time in the college ranks, but Most recently, being the offensive coordinator for Gary Joseph means high praise coming from the Brownwood staff that's looking to kind of relive those Gordon Wood glory days. Another one that Stepp had mentioned, Wimberley, now open. This one completely
That's interesting.
different.
Yeah.
Doug Warren, after 36 years as a head coach, has announced his retirement. And let me tell you, I personally love Doug Warren. Mm-hmm. Great guy. He spent the last 12 years at Wimberley. He went 119-47 there. They were a title contender in 19 and 22. Just such an incredible career, such a really, really good coach, and his level of consistency was just outstanding. He did say that maybe he's going to jump on some Texan Live broadcast now if I'll let him. So
Oh, heck yeah. I'm so down for that.
would love that. And then finally, this one goes a little bit under the radar in Fort Stockton. So this one's a lot more normal from the jump. So Fort Stockton, a 4A Division II program, was coached by an alum, Jeremy Hickman, who did a really, really good job. He went, oh gosh, I had it here and now I don't. He did a really good job while he was there over 3 seasons. And now he's going to take over the head coaching job at 6A Cy Woods. Normal.
Yeah.
Guy comes back to his alma mater, gets a head coaching job, does super good, goes to a bigger program. Completely different from most of these other stories we've heard. Here's where it gets weird.
Of course, because why wouldn't it?
We're sitting there, and all of a sudden, we get the press release that Fort Stockton has announced their new head coach. And Tepper was the one that goes, "Wait a minute, are there 2 DJ Howells?" Well, that's because DJ Howell came from Sterling City. Now an 11-man squad, but just transitioned from 6-man.
Yep.
So DJ Howell is most well known for his time spent in 6-man. He was the head coach at Miami, who really turned that program around, led him to a 12-win regional finals season. And then he obviously helped Fort Stockton get up to 2A and kind of lead that first 11-man charge. So he has 11-man experience, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, coach, how do you feel about coming to coach 4A Division II? So an outstanding coach, definitely knows what he's doing, but just a headline that you went, the 6-man guy?
Yeah.
So some of the more wild, I guess you could say, coaching stuff. But obviously with Mason, Wimberley, and Gunner, all of those still open right now. Make sure to keep eyes on TexasFootball.com because Matt Stepp is going to be all over those when we find out who those 3 really coveted programs are going to be hiring.
Dude, Texas high school football is so weird because you've got coaches coming from the 6-man ranks up to 11-man, vice versa, 11-man down to 6-man, and then you've got coaches from colleges coming down to play, coming down to coach, big time Texas high school football programs. It really just goes to show you the impact that Texas high school football has on the entire nation.
Yeah, it is awesome. All right, there you go. Some notable coaching changes for our Texas high school football in case you missed it.